Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Beth, and in this series I'm going to share with you how you can start a successful pet care business. Today I'm going to share with you how to set up yourself on the Rover app to begin getting your first clients as a dog walker or a pet sitter through Rover. It's really quite simple and straightforward. You can go onto the Rover app and begin a profile. Now remember, when you work through Rover, you are not an employee of Rover. You are still self-employed, and you are required to file all your taxes and keep your own books. And I even really would encourage you to look into getting pet sitting insurance or liability insurance to cover yourself. Rover does offer a guarantee, but it's not insurance. And if heaven forbid something went wrong, they're going to cover their own butt first, the client second, and you're really not going to be covered as much. So to set up your profile, it's really quite simple. Just follow the steps. They will require that you get a background check. And I think this is a great thing to do. And as a client, I want to know the people who are coming into my home, and I'm trusting with my beloved animals, don't have no criminal history, etc., like that, anything like that. So you will have to submit information and payment for a background check. It's the cost of doing business. You should be able to make that money back within your first couple bookings, and you're good to go. Then set up your profile, and I will give you the top things that I think you really need to focus on when setting up your profile. First of all, have some good pictures. You can set your camera up on a tripod and take some selfies, but you want them to look professional. You want to focus on yourself, on your face, have a nice expression on your face. If you have your cat or your dog in your photo with you, that's great. Not necessary. And then upload other photos of you with animals, your own animals, friends' animals. If you haven't been a sitter yet and you don't have, pictures, ask a friend, a neighbor who has a cat. If you want to do cat sitting, have pictures of cats in your profile. That will make all the difference in the world. Cat people are different than dog people. Some of us are bipedal. We have both cats and dogs, but people who are strictly cat people are looking for other cat people. Start filling in your profile, your details, the description. There's always a little one-line kind of subtitle area, tagline area on your profile. Make that eye-catching, make that engaging. You can look at other people's profiles. Don't copy somebody else's profile, but it gets you an idea of what people are doing. And then fill in the details about yourself, your experience, any relevant experience. Perhaps you've worked in a vet's office or a boarding facility before. Training experience, put that, grooming experience, anything like that, put that in your profile. Also, any details, you don't have to get real personal about yourself, your family life or what part of town you live in or anything like that. If it's not relevant to what you're going to be doing, if you have a full-time job and you're not available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m., put that in your profile. You will find over time that there are a number of clients who will not bother to read your entire profile. So be sure that the first few things in there are the most pertinent things about you that'll grab their attention, but also let them know, if there's something important that they need to know about you. But I still encourage you to put all of the relevant information in your profile description, even though a good majority of people are not going to read all of it. because then it's there. It's in writing. You can refer back to it when someone, says, well, I didn't know this, this, this. You say, well, it was right there in my profile. It's there. So have it there. Then the next thing you will want to do is fill out your availability. The availability calendar on Rover is very important in getting you up there in search results, up there in the high, like leading up to any holiday a week. They will ask you almost every time you log into the app or the website, is your availability calendar updated? Are you available for Thanksgiving week? Are you available for this, that, or the other thing? And so be sure to keep that updated, but that will also help move you up in the search ranks if your availability calendar is up to date. So when you first get started, go on there regularly and make sure and you can check it for 6 months in advance. If you know that you're going to Paris for the first 2 weeks of April, even now in November, go ahead and go in there and move it ahead and block those off. So you have your photos up there, you have your calendar up to date, you have all your profile information filled out. Then you need to also put in your rates, and Rover will suggest some rates for beginners. And I think that's what I did initially, and I very quickly changed my rates. I raised my rates. Now, your first month or few weeks, you may not want to do that. You may want to be around the same rate as other walkers and sitters in your geographic area. So check that out. Search for a sitter or a walker or a house sitter, whatever service you want to provide, and you're looking for what rates to set those rates at. Search other sitters and see what they're charging. Look how many reviews they have, how long they've been doing this, all those things, so that you can, be comparable. Someone with 75 five-star reviews can probably afford to be a little higher in their rates than someone who is just starting out. But don't be afraid to start raising your rates after you get going and get established. That's perfectly fine. Keep in mind that Rover takes 20% from your bookings. And I know there's a lot of debate among the Rover sitters on if that's fair. I think when you're first starting out, it's definitely fair. They're doing all the legwork for you. And I have some wonderful long-term clients that are still Rover clients. I keep them on Rover. I pay Rover because that's what I agreed to when I signed up. That is part of your terms of service. If someone is once a client with yours through Rover, then they need to stay a client of yours through Rover. And if Rover finds out that you have taken them off the app and taken them private, they are well within their rights, and they will and do kick you off of the Rover app. That is that. Set your rates, be fair, don't undercut your competition, and you may not want to price yourself ridiculously high either, unless you don't want to be particularly busy. Then another thing that you're going to need to have on your new Rover profile are testimonials. You haven't had any clients yet, so you have no one yet to review you. But having a few testimonials from friends can really, really boost, your attractiveness to potential clients. So what I did, pet care for friends and family. Everyone knew that I was the dog lady. I love dogs. I loved cats. And so in my neighborhood, I had friends and neighbors that we would exchange pet sitting. So I had experience with them. I went to them, I sent them an email, and actually Rover gives you that option to just right there in the app when you're signing up, put in the emails of some people who they'll send an email to and ask for a testimonial, and they just click a link and write the testimonial. Do just like a job reference. I think it's very professional and important that you go to those people before they get this random email that they aren't expecting, and say, can please watch for an email from Rover. This is what I'm doing. I'm getting started as setting up my own pet care business. And I used to watch Zoe for you, when you went out of town. Can you just, write a few lines, take a few minutes, just watch for it. Might go to your spam folder, etc. and say it's very important that you do it quickly. And so, if you can get 3, 4, 5 testimonials, that really helps. So you don't have this just blank, we don't know who you are, we're just trusting you and taking your word for it that you know what you're doing. If you have some people who can write some glowing references for you, that's really helpful. So there you go. Your profile is now set up. You can go live. In your profile, you can also, there are different ways you can set yourself away. So if you're going away for a vacation, or you just need a break, or your day job is real busy right now, you can just set yourself away. You can just set yourself to existing clients only. And so only existing clients will see your profile and can contact you. And then you can just have yourself open to anything. Another key thing is to set your geographic area. And the way Rover does it, it's a radius. It's a 10-mile radius, 5-mile radius from your home as the crow flies. So if you live like I do, I live in a city that has a river runs through it, and we also have some mountains around us, and or maybe you have like a major interstate or something, and you don't want to work on the other side of the interstate, but that interstate runs, or that mountain is like on the border. You may need to kind of play with and tweak. So you'll learn quickly how to negotiate that, and maybe start small and work out. So there you go. Everything is set up. You have your pictures, you have your availability, you have your profile all filled out, you have your rates all set, and your geographic radius set. And now it's time to get your first booking. A lot of it will depend on where you live. The more urban area that you live in, probably the quicker you're going to get someone clicking on your profile and finding you. But that is not to say that if you live out in the country, or you live in the suburbs, that you won't get any bookings. Also look to see how many sitters that are active in your area. To get that first booking, first of all, Rover does a thing where their algorithm will kind of give a little boost for the first few weeks that you're a sitter. So my suggestion is, don't set up your sitter profile until you're ready to go to work. And if you can, set aside, if you're going into this full time and you want to get right into it full time, great. But if you want to ease into it like I did, a little bit part time, a little bit here, weekend there, some midday dog walks, kind of thing, then set aside those first couple weeks to be available whenever somebody wants you. We'll get into the details a little bit later, but really, because the quicker you get going, the quicker you respond to those inquiries, the faster you'll build your business. If you set this up this weekend, but you're going to be out of town all next week, and then it's Thanksgiving and you're going to be traveling, and you know what, I'm really not going to get really one, maybe I'll do 1 or 2. Don't do that, because then somebody will contact you. You'll have to say, I'm sorry, I'm not available. And they'll be, okay, then they're never going to come back to you. So be available and respond promptly. And Rover does this annoying little thing that if you haven't responded to somebody within, I don't know what the time is, half hour, 45 minutes, an hour, they'll send you a message, a text message saying, so-and-so is waiting to hear back from you. Literally, if I hear that notification, I will hop on it immediately. If I don't have my calendar in front of me, if I'm literally walking a dog at that time, or not when I'm driving my car, but if I'm at dinner with my family, I will at least open it and say, I'm busy right now. Let me check my calendar and I will get back with you. And I get back with them. Don't leave them hanging. Because what Rover does is, when a client sends an inquiry, there will be an automatic thing that pops up and says, do you want to contact 3 more sitters to see if they're available as well? And most people will be yes, because they're like, shit, I forgot to book a dog sitter, and we're leaving in a week, and I don't have anybody, and I'm going to go on there, and they just want somebody, and they'll just, they don't want to send out 3 individual ones and everything. So if you don't respond right away, somebody else will. And I've gotten many clients that way because they're like, well, I sent out 3 different notifications to people. Nobody got back to me. You're the first one that got back to me. And I don't know how many times I have had comments made to me by my clients saying, oh, thank you for getting back so quickly, because they've had that experience. We've all had that experience. It's not just with dog sitters and dog walkers. It's also with plumbers and electricians and contractors of all kinds. You call and you leave a voicemail saying, hey, my toilet is flooding and I need somebody over here immediately, and you don't hear back from them for a week. That sets you apart, and that will get you your first client. If you're the first one to respond in a professional, quick manner, and you follow up with them, that I guarantee that will help you build your business quickly. Also, to just go on for those first few weeks, especially that you're on Rover, go into your profile and tweak things. Add a new photograph, update your calendar, because again, there's something in the app and in the algorithm that is telling Rover this sitter is interested. This sitter is busy, is wanting to come in and get busy and get working. She's on here all the time. He's on here all the time, updating things, tweaking things, and they're active. You have your profile all set up, your availability all set up. You're waiting for that first inquiry, and it comes through. You respond to them. What do you do when they respond to, how do you respond to that first inquiry? First of all, check to make sure it's something you want to do, that you're capable of doing. Is it a date and times that you can, 'cause it's always good to clarify with the client exactly what they need, but it will be there. They'll say, this person wants a check-in at 7:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and 6 o'clock at night. So probably breakfast, midday walk, and dinner. And so, okay, I can do that. I'm available for that. Those 5 days, I'm available for that. Make sure the pricing is right, because sometimes something gets funky in the pricing, and respond right back to them and say, yes, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to help you out with Fluffy. If you can make it personal, so, say their name, say their animal's name. It'll be there in the booking details. Would you like to meet for a meet and greet? Now, there are sitters who do not do meet and greets. I do meet and greets. I think it's very important to, it's kind of like a little mini job interview for both sides. I will do an entire video on what to do in a meet and greet, so I'm just going to go over it really briefly here. But because they do not give you, if you're doing outcall like I am, they don't give you the client's address until you've booked with them. They'll give you your zip code, so you can usually tell if they're close to you, and there's usually maybe a map that kind of gives you a generalized area. But I typically will just say something along like, what are the nearest cross streets, or what neighborhood are you in? And they'll say, oh, I'm in such and such neighborhood. I'm like, okay, good. That's within my service radius. Because sometimes, like I said, they'll be up on the top of a mountain, and I'm like, I have to go across the river, through the woods, and up the mountain to get to you. It takes me 25 minutes to get there, and I have 6 other bookings that day, and I'm just not going to be able to fit you in. They'll understand. So just kind of go over some real basics, so you make sure that you're all on the same page. Then you book the meet and greet, agree on a time. And I say, even if they're not booking you for a vacation that's a month out, I would still meet with them within the week that they've inquired. So then everything is set. You're not forgetting, oh shoot, those people wanted me for Christmas and I don't have them on my calendar, and now I'm all booked up, and just go do it right away. I've gone and done meet and greets the same day because they're leaving tomorrow, kind of thing. So get those on there. There's a way you can schedule it through the app, or you can just agree on a time. They do not get your personal cell phone number, and you do not get their personal number. Rover assigns numbers. There's a little funkiness sometimes happens with that. It happens when you book the meet and greet. Ask that then at this point, if it's a walk or a drop-in visit, you're going to have to ask them their address, because you're not given that information until the thing is booked. So get their address, agree on a time. Some people for dog walks, for safety reasons, and others will meet someone at a park or somewhere close by to the person's home with the dog, and then, if everything goes great and they feel comfortable, then they go to the person's home. I always just go to the person's home, and I have never had a problem. I will have an entire video about personal safety and just safety in general as a dog sitter at a future date, but it's never been a problem for me. But that is an option if you're uncomfortable, but you're going to have to be going to their home anyway, especially if you're doing drop-ins where you're going to be feeding and cleaning up, taking, that kinds of thing. You're going to have to know where the home is. You're going to have to know where everything is in the home. So this is what you do at your meet and greet. You arrive on time. I usually arrive a little early and drive around the neighborhood, because if it's a neighborhood I'm going to be walking a dog in, I want to check out, are there street lights? What's the neighborhood like? What are the other houses like? Sidewalks, etc., etc. I make sure I know how to get there and know where to park. If you work in a more urban area, finding parking can be tricky sometimes. That's also something to ask when you're booking the meet and greet. Is there a particular place I need to park or shouldn't park, or etc.? Then more than likely you're going to meet the animal. If it's a dog, it'll probably run up to you. If it's a cat, you may or may not meet the cat. Again, there's going to be an entire video on cat sitting because it's its own specific thing. My suggestion when you're meeting a new dog is I greet the person first, and they usually invite me in, or maybe we go around to the backyard or whatever. And every dog is a little different. Most of the dogs that I've been around are very friendly and they'll jump up. If they jump on me, I turn and let them turn my back to them, and I don't greet them until they're sitting or all four on the floor and things like that. If it's a dog that maybe is a little shy or a little scared, I don't approach them right away. I let them approach me. But you get to know the dog, the cat, whatever the animal is that you're caring for, and then I just really want to get down to business right away if you can. So once you've greeted the owner, greeted the animal, then say, okay, well, can you just run me through their routine real quick? Now, some clients will have filled out every little detail to the hour on their profile on Rover, and it's great if they do. I don't get worked up if they don't. I usually open a note app on my phone, and while they're talking, I used to carry a notebook around because I'm old school and write notes, but now I just do it on my phone. I just put the pertinent information. What time does Fluffy eat? How much food does Fluffy get? Where is the food stored? Where are the dishes? Where's their water? Do they like filtered water, or is there anything special? Are there any medications? If there's medications, what I usually do, if there are medications or supplements or anything like that, I ask the client, please, can you leave me on the kitchen counter, on the refrigerator, wherever, a note? Can you just write out real quick each medication and what time and amount that they get? Because then it's on them to make sure that it's written down properly. If I'm quickly taking a note in my phone, I could write something wrong, or I could, transpose a number or something like that and get it wrong. And I don't want to get it wrong when I'm giving medications to someone's animal. So I usually ask them to do that. And I will remind them of that the day before the booking starts. This is one of the key things that you really need to be sure you cover during your meet and greet. And this is why I do meet and greets. How am I supposed to get into your house when you're at the airport about to get on your plane and none of your neighbors have a key and there's no other way to get into this house? How am I going to get in? If you're going to give me a key, let's make sure the key actually opens the door that you think it opens. If you're giving me a garage door opener, is the door from the garage to the house going to be unlocked? Make sure it is. Remind them. How am I going to get in the house and double check that it works? Because I have been locked out, not just by the cleaning lady. I have been given the wrong key and had to wait for the client to get off her airplane and get where she had cell service again, to get my messages, for her to call her ex-husband who lived an hour away to bring me a key. Get the key ahead of time, or know how to get in ahead of time. The last thing I would do is just to ask if there's any particular special things about their particular animal that you need to know. Sometimes we live with a pet so long that their little idiosyncrasies are kind of normal to us and we don't realize that it's something someone needs to know. So ask them, with cats, ask them where their typical hiding place is. How does the dog react to other dogs if we're out walking? Is there a particular block or street or house on the street that I should not walk this dog by? Because maybe there's a dog in the yard that comes charging out. Anything like that. Don't just say, hey, any particular route that you normally take the dog or don't take the dog, or anything interesting or anything specific I need to know. And they'll fill you in. They'll let you know. But remember, your time is valuable. Meet and greets, typically you're not getting paid for. So value your time and value their time. That is how you can get started on Rover. It's really quite simple. It's a good way to get started. It's a good way to get yourself out there. And yes, some people complain about the fees that Rover charges and things like that. And at a later time, I will have a video about how, if you want to start moving away from an app like Rover and become your own private business, how you can transition that way and start getting clients outside of Rover. Because again, if they're a Rover client once, they're always a Rover client. And remember that. And I think it's just the ethical thing to do to maintain that relationship. If you want to continue the relationship with Rover, you've got to play by their rules. And that is one of their rules for a number of reasons. And they set the rules. We don't get to pick and choose which rules apply to us and which ones don't. I wish you luck. If you have questions or specific instances about pet sitting, if you've already started pet sitting and you've had some problems or questions or concerns, please leave those in the comments below and I will address them in a future video. Please like and subscribe because I will be sharing more of my personal experiences here as a professional pet care service provider, pet dog walker, pet sitter, and in the future here going forward. So if there are specific things about the business that you would like to know, please leave a comment as well. And check out some of my other playlists on my channel to see what else I have been up to. But if you're just here for the dogs, then this is the right place, and the cats. Thank you so much. We'll see you later.